What's up, Bengals fans, and welcome in to another edition of Cincinnati Bengals Talk. We are live on this dreary, ridiculously wet, cold. At least it feels cold because it's rainy, right? I mean, I was on my roof earlier cleaning up my gutters because that's what you do on a bye week. But yeah, the weather sucks, so I figured let's have a live chat with Bengals fans all across the country, all across the world. By the way, thank you so much for subscribing. If you have, 8,300 of you, can't be wrong. And if you haven't, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're going to get to plenty of your questions. So if you have them, feel free to hang on to them. In about 5 minutes or so, we'll do that. But a couple of things. First one, before you hear Zac Taylor, who's going to talk about Joe Burrow, and I'm going to discuss Joe Burrow because there's a lot of concern suddenly about Joe Burrow's interceptions because he leads the league in interceptions. And so why wouldn't we talk about that? At the same time, before we get to that, I got to tell you about Rivertown Inquiry right here. Look, you see these Locked On Bengals shirts? Rivertown Inquiry is the official place to get these. They released this morning. You can get one, and I put a link on Twitter at James Rapien or at Locked On Bengals. So if you're looking for a Locked On Bengals shirt, there you go. That being said, let's dive into Joe Burrow. 11 interceptions. There's a lot of concern, at least some concern, right? Nationally, I think locally, and it's fair. He's had a lot of weird-looking interceptions this year. He has 11 total. You have the one against Green Bay, which was just awful, let's be honest. The one against New York, which, again, not his fault by any stretch when you talk to people around him and how the play was supposed to develop. But it's a really good play, and it just seems like there's a lot of those where he's throwing it, and it's like directly to the defense. And the Denzel Ward one, look, it's to me, he either has to throw it much, much earlier, like as Chase is breaking, so the corner can't catch up there, or he's got to throw it all the way to the pylon, or maybe both. And he didn't do that. Denzel Ward cuts it off, and he takes it to the house, and the Bengals really never recovered, to be honest. And I know they did scoreboard-wise. They got it to 7-7. Just put them in a really bad spot. Here's why I'm not concerned about the Burrow interceptions, because I think they are kind of fluky, and there are little things that go into each one of them. But some are poor decisions or poor throws or poor placement. But I'm not concerned about it because of what the Bengals are doing with Burrow. They're putting everything on him. There is no, cruise control with him. There is no, they're going to spoon feed him things. No, they make him run the offense. They give him the freedom to make all the checks. He has freedom in the game plan. He has freedom to do anything he could possibly want to do on this in this Bengals offense. And that's what you do when you think he's going to be great. And the Bengals coaching staff feels that way. Then why not set him up in position to be the best player he can be in their minds? And I think this is the right way to do it. They're putting everything on his shoulders. He's going to go through some growing pains. He's going to have some good. He's going to have some bad, but they're not babying him or spoon feeding him or anything like that. And I think it's the right decision. Now, are there other issues that come along with that? Could they cut down on the interceptions if they told him to stop going off script and throw the ball away? Sure. But part of what makes Joe Burrow special is his off script, is his playmaking ability, is his willingness to throw it into tight windows. And so sometimes you are going to have some interceptions. I did ask Zac Taylor and was able to sit down with Zac Taylor on the Locked On Bengals podcast. If you missed that earlier this week, asked him about potentially dialing things back, reining Burrow in a bit. Because like I said, he has all the freedom you could ask for a second-year quarterback. And maybe reining it in a little bit in the second half of the season in hopes of maybe winning more games or in hopes of cutting down on the turnovers. And here's what Zac had to say.
Maybe if that was leading to the turnovers, yes, it's not leading to the turnovers, and so I think that would probably be fun for people to sit in there with me and Joe and go through every different interception and see kind of what the reasoning was. And maybe that would help people take a deep breath. But that's not a concern of ours going forward, that he's turnover prone or making bad decisions. And I feel confident that he's in a good spot and going to lead us to a lot more points going forward.
Good stuff there from Zac Taylor. By the way, you can check that out. Locked On Bengals right here on YouTube. It was about a 20-minute interview. with Zac Taylor. But I think that's the way to go about it. Like, if Joe's going to be the guy and not just be good, but be great, well, you want to overload him. And you want him to understand the responsibilities of being a franchise quarterback and even beyond that. Because Burrow has the freedom that Andy Dalton rarely had, if ever had, in what he's doing and his ability and everything that goes into the game plan and stuff. I remember year 2 of Andy Dalton, like what he was being asked, what was being asked of him. Year 2 of Carson Palmer, it was his first year starting. So if you want different results than that, well, yeah, you probably want to overload the kid. You drafted him first for a reason. And so I think he's going to be just fine. And if you look at the final 8 games, especially with what we've seen from the defense, this offense better hit the ground running and go. They better get going and do exactly really what I expected them to do. My mark, my barometer, my expectation is 30 points a week. If you don't get to 30, you might lose that game. And that was my expectation for this offense and this defense, for better or worse, depending on which one you want to look at it. And then the defense surprised me through 7 weeks, and they went to Baltimore and they did what they did. And I'm like, oh, well, maybe they won't have to do that. Well, the past couple of weeks tell me, no, that's going to be what the second half of the season is, given who they face, who they have to play. A good Raiders offense, a really good, what I think is going to be a really good, at least, Chiefs offense by the time they play them. They play the Browns again. You're going to have to face Lamar Jackson again. So there's going to be a lot of challenges. The Chargers, you're going to have to score points. And so you want Joe Burrow to continue to develop, and hopefully you can get to that 30-point threshold that I think is really the bar. And we'll see if it continues to be there. But let's dive in here to some of your questions. If you're here, if you're watching, well, let's now's the time to dive in to discuss the Cincinnati Bengals. We'll do Q&A here for about 20, 30 minutes or so, depending on how many of you have questions, what you have. And let's start at the top, and we'll go from there as my dog growls. Maybe we'll get a Finn appearance later. But let's start right here with Akilo the Great. Waynes is fine, but he's injured. Trey Waynes is injured. And I don't think he's going to be back in week 11 either. So he's going to be out for a little bit. So we'll see about that one. All right. Sixer Alex, what are the Bengals' 3 biggest problems in your opinion? Problems. First problem that you want to solve is that right guard spot. And a lot of people were judging the Bengals, I guess, for not starting Jackson Carman at right guard last Sunday against the Browns. I think we know why they didn't start Jackson Carman at right guard. They don't feel, and no one's telling me this, but you just look at you read between the lines, you look at the actions, right? If they thought Jackson Carman was the answer, Jackson Carman would be playing. It looks much, much worse if you have to say, oh, Akeem Adeneji's back after practicing for 2 weeks, coming off of a torn pectoral muscle. We're going to give him the start, and we're going to see what he can do. And then after we come back from the bye, we're going to do it again. And that's exactly what the Bengals are going to do. They're searching right now. And that's it's a flaw, because if you were getting solid right guard play, 4 of your 5 spots would be shored up, and you just kind of be waiting for Trey Hopkins to be the old Trey post ACL injury. And he's had his fair share of struggles during the first 9 weeks. He probably should be coming back like right now. I mean, he tore his ACL in January, but that's the first problem, is that interior of that offensive line, specifically right guard, as they search for the right option. And we'll see. Maybe it is Akeem Adeneji. It would be nice if they could find some steady play. Don't need to be great, just steady play at that spot in the second half of the season. Second thing would be edge rusher. You need another edge rusher. You need someone outside of Trey Hendrickson that's going to apply pressure regularly. I think Sam Hubbard has had a good couple of weeks. 2 of his last 3 games is really good. I thought he was good against the Ravens. I thought he was really good on Sunday against the Browns. But that's not enough. And I think you see that when the Bengals defense really needs to get a stop, when they need to, which I can't believe I'm saying this, stop Mike White from taking flight and driving downfield or scoring after the turnover, right, where it's such a crucial possession in that Week 8 game against the Jets, and they can't do it. And that's because they don't have an elite or high-end edge rusher that if you need a sack, you can get one right now, or just someone to complement Trey Hendrickson at a high level. And so that's probably their second biggest problem. And outside of that, so outside of the trenches, right now it's probably cornerback depth. And you could also question the linebacker depth, but they still have their number 1 and number 2 linebackers. After that, it gets pretty thin. But cornerback wise, Eli Apple toasted the other day. Vernon Hargraves, they claimed him. They claimed Trey Flowers about a month ago. So they're looking, and they're trying to add anyone they can with Trey Waynes out. So those are probably the 3, probably in that order, certainly in that order for me. Like, I still can't believe they didn't go out and get a veteran guard in free agency that you could pencil in at the right guard spot. No one assumed Xavier Su'a-Filo was going to be anything. He had injury issues the past couple of years, is more of a journeyman guard, solid backup. And Jackson Carman felt like a reach. By the way, Creed Humphrey should have been the pick. How great has he been for the Chiefs at center? Could have started at guard for the Bengals if needed, if they would have drafted him. And they traded back from 38 to 46, and he was there, and they didn't take him. But, you could do that in every draft. But those are the 3 biggest problems: interior offensive line, edge rusher, cornerback. See, why you got to rub it in now, Beavers? Who day from Myrtle Beach? Is the weather nice there? I hope the weather's nice. It's pouring here. I literally, because Thursday so the Bengals had availability Monday, Tuesday, but it's a bye week. So yesterday and today are kind of my 2 days to try to get some house stuff done on the bye and some housework and stuff like that. And I finished up in my office here for a bit this morning, and I go outside and I'm like, it's windy. Of course I don't, who checks the forecast? I don't check the forecast. Knew it was about to rain. So I grab a ladder, rush up to my roof and get the gutters cleared out before it starts pouring rain about 5 minutes later. So it was a 2-minute drill at the Rapien household earlier today. But yeah, Houday from Myrtle Beach. I like it. I'm jealous that you're at the beach. All right, Dustin Croft. I know this name. Let's see. I think you're going to see more of the Ram style offense now. They've been playing well under center and out of play action. I also think they're going to get the tight ends more involved. You could see that. I think so. As far as the Ram style offense, I think this offense should be better than the Rams offense. Sorry. I don't know at any point, Super Bowl point, how good was the Rams offense really? Like, Gurley was really good, and that offensive line was really good. Well, the Bengals, their strengths aren't that. They don't have an MVP candidate at running back. Joe Mixon's really, really good. They don't have that. But what they do have is a star deep threat in Jamar Chase, who's also good in space and can do everything that he can do. T. Higgins has to be better. And I think that's part of it. And if he's better, and Boyd's in the mix, and I think Boyd is as good, probably better than Robert Woods. So, yeah, I mean, I think this offense should be better than the Rams offense, specifically with that Rams offense that went to the Super Bowl. Now, will they? You need consistency at that right guard spot. But, yeah, could they have more of the play action? Could they mix that in? I think so. I think you got to get Burrow as comfortable as possible under center. You're starting to see more of that. That being said, do I want the tight ends in the mix even more? In an offense that has Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, Tyler Boyd, I'm going to throw Chris Evans in there because I think he should have a huge second half of the season. You want more in the mix? I want Chris Evans in the mix. Less Samaje Perine, more Chris Evans. You know how big of a drop that was against the Browns? 3rd and 3. It's 14-7. It's your 3rd offensive possession of the game, and Samaje Perine drops the ball. Chris Evans probably takes that 10 yards. Maybe makes a defender miss and goes farther. I'd have to watch it again. He certainly doesn't drop it. And then they drop it, and then they go for it on 4th down, which I would have done. Don't get it, and it's just an ugly play from the jump. And then one play later, Donovan Peoples-Jones beats Eli Apple, and you look up, and it's 21-7, and you've moved the ball up and down the field, and you have nothing to show for it. So that was a huge, huge drop. And that's the problem when you have a defense that can't get stops, and you know it. The margin for error is so thin on offense, and you can't have a drop. You can't have a sack that gives you 2nd and 20 because it's hard to overcome against a good defense. Hard to overcome a 4 and out essentially when you're in an opponent's territory when you should have had the 1st down, and instead you have to go for it. So yeah, I think they could resemble the Rams offense a bit, but that isn't the standard to me. And maybe it is this year for the Rams because the Rams are really, really good this year. But I was thinking about, the Zac Taylor, his time with the Rams. Man, come on, Preston. It isn't draft time yet. It isn't draft time. Derek Stingley or Ahmad Gardner from the University of Cincinnati, even though Gardner would look pretty sweet in Bengal stripes. We'll see. But with plenty of time dive into the draft, and we certainly will do that. By the way, if you're just joining us, I'm James Rapien. This is Cincinnati Bengals Talk. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're doing a live bi-week Q&A, so get your questions in right now, and we will get to them. I'm going to continue to work my way down this list. I don't think he's going to get fired. I know some, let's just say Zac Taylor is fired. I don't know. I think Darren Simmons would get consideration. Outside of that, I think the shine of Eric Bieniemy's lost its luster just a little bit with the way the Chiefs are struggling. But I think I'm buying low on the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are going to be right there at the end of the year, and I think they're going to win the AFC West and whatever else you want to say. What is your dream coaching staff in Cincinnati? The dream coaching staff? It's a tough question. You want the next great coach that isn't 60 and stuck in his ways because you have a young team. And so like the profile of Zac Taylor makes sense. And I'm not saying he is that, but like the profile does, right? Like the Steelers, whether it's fair, foul, or indifferent, or however you feel about him, Mike Tomlin's been there for forever, and he's 49 years old. So he may have a 40-year coaching tenure with the Steelers. And that's what you want to find. You want to find this consistent, this is the coach. I'm going to be a top 5 to 8 coach. And then it doesn't matter who your coordinators are, right? And that's, it certainly matters some, but it doesn't matter nearly as much if you have a certain culture that's established. So we'll see. But that's that. They're 5-4. Last year I had to crush Zach, and I deservedly so. But yeah, let's see how they do the rest of the way here before we start talking, or at least part of the way. If they lose the next 3 or 4, well, yeah. But if they're in the playoff hunt in at the end of December, and it's beat the Browns and you're in, well, then we're probably saying that's a pretty good development at Paul Brown Stadium. All right, let's see here. Marlon, what do you think the end prediction win-loss for the Bengals is? Well, I had them at 7-10 going into the year. I think they're on pace probably for about 9-8. Haven't played the schedule game. Maybe that's something I'll do on the channel later this week or early next week before we dive back into the second half of the season. But yeah, I would say something in that range, 9-8, which is better than I had them projected. What did I think of Akeem Adeniji? I like Adeniji. I think he's got some traits that could play well and work well in the Bengals offense. They really like his feet. Dave Lapham really likes his athleticism, and so to me, if they think he has upside, play him. And I know a lot of people say, "Well, Jackson Carman was the second rounder." I have a great feeling about Jackson Carman. Didn't when they drafted him. Was shocked when I found out a few hours before the draft that they were targeting Jackson Carman, and I was told on high court they were going to take him 38th overall. So when they traded down, that trade was a no-brainer if they were taking Carman anyway, because it didn't feel like anybody else was taking Carman. And it's been a rocky start to his NFL career. So maybe he turns it around. He's young. I think he's a big physical player. But if Akeem Adeniji is better today, then play him. And that's why, again, why did they not find the Riley Reef of guards to play right guard? A veteran, maybe a former Pro Bowler that's no longer playing like a Pro Bowler, but just someone who's take him to Ruby's, give him a steak, point him to Burrow, and say, "Hey, do you want to block for Joe Burrow? We're going to give you $5 million for this season, and then if you play well, maybe we'll keep you around." That's all they had to do, and they don't get it. Don't get it one bit. Oh, this is a good one. I think it is, at least. I saw Jesse Bates, and I definitely knew I wanted to hit on Jesse Bates during this live chat. John asks, do you think Jesse Bates hasn't played up to his potential this year? While the defense was playing great, Bates hasn't made a huge impact. You're right. Hasn't. So let's start with the first part. He's not played up to his potential. I think he's playing below average for him, if that makes sense. So like his average day is better than a lot of safeties' good days. But he's playing below average on the Bates scale, not the NFL starting safety scale. Missed tackles the other day. Not many big plays. Had the one interception against the Jets that he maybe could have scored on. Didn't. Was down at the 1. But yeah, not many game-changing plays for Jesse Bates. And early on in the season, he got dinged up at the end of a couple games. And I just wonder, how can you not like worry about the contract. It would be so tough. And it's not just Bates, and it's part of the job, but it would be really, really hard to focus and execute and do all of those things. But he's got to do it. And the other point here, and it's one Joe Goodberry made today on the Locked On Bengals podcast when we had him on. Bates has been so much better in the second half of the season versus the first half of the season. And so that's something to pay attention to as well, because if this defense is going to be decent the second half after what I saw the past couple of weeks, going to need Bates to play awesome. Going to need Bates to be, you need number 30 to be the 2020 version, the 2020 edition. And maybe he's got to get his mind right this bye week, because we certainly know he's got the potential. But honestly, John, and everybody watching, this is exactly what the Bengals were. I don't want to say hoping for, because you obviously want your players to play great. But when they didn't sign him to an extension before the year started, they're like, oh, well, prove it again. And I don't know if they said those exact words, but actions speak louder than words, like I said. So you're the best safety in the league? Prove it. He's not played like the best safety in the league. You want top safety money? Prove it. Has not played like a top safety. So we'll see if he can do that final 8 games of the season. I know he's capable. And I'm sure he's well aware that he hasn't played up to his standard up to this point. Do you think bad play calling is being masked by good players? This is interesting because on one hand, you could say yes, because there's so many times where it feels like the Bengals are relying on a big play where Jamar Chase just bails them out at the end of a half, or spins out of a Marlon Humphrey tackle and makes 3 Baltimore Ravens look silly and breaks the game wide open in Baltimore. It just plays like that, right? And very few times is Jamar Chase just running free in space, or T. Higgins just running free in space, or Tyler Boyd. So I think that's something that this offense and the coaching staff needs to figure out. How can they get easier plays, more open plays for their playmakers, and get the ball in space? Chase in space is what I love to say, because if you get him in space, good luck. He's really, really hard to bring down. But it's not just him, it's Boyd. Like, I never thought Boyd would have the overall year and lack of impact, especially in these games where, like the Jets game, he played such a role in what should have been the game-winning drive with about 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. They had 3 third-down conversions. He catches the touchdown, puts them up 11. But outside of that, there haven't been many games where he's just carried them. And I thought that was going to be, a staple of it. And the thing that's been most surprising, and he did well against Jacksonville too, but the thing that's been most surprising to me about Boyd is how much teams are still willing to double him out of the slot, even though T. Higgins is on one side and Jamar Chase is on the other. And so that in the second half is going to be key, because it's a trio. And that trio, they drafted Chase, so if you double one, you're going to get burned by another. And that's just how it was going to go. Well, so far, if they double Boyd, yeah, Chase has had some big plays. T. Higgins has only had a couple. They need T to step up. They need Chase to win more of the contested catches that he was bad at the other day, to be honest with you. And if that happens, I think it's going to open things up for Boyd. So, yeah, there is a play calling element to it. But I think that was more towards the beginning of the season, especially. Like, I hated what Zac did at the end of the Packers game. Liked what he did at the start of the Browns game. And then it gets away from you. And it's tough to judge him. It's tough to judge the offense when they're down 2+ scores. And Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney are just game wreckers. I'm going to take a sip real quick. This is, I closed it. This is water, by the way. It's way too early for those. Even if you're on the West Coast, it's too early. All right, let's keep things going. Yeah, by the way, I don't drink coffee. Fun fact about me. So my buddy, I was his best man. He gets me this Yeti. And so yeah, ice water is in it daily. Carry it around, take it in my car, take it to Bengals practice, everything like that. Always have ice water with you. That's the key. Coffee, gross. Unless there's a coffee place that wants to sponsor. No, I'm just kidding. All right, let's keep it rolling here. Bengal, Ohio asks, should the Bengals consider playing a different cornerback instead of Apple, like Flowers and/or the other guy? The other guy, Vernon Hargreaves III. Yeah, Vernon Hargreaves is going to start next week. I'm not reporting that. but I would be surprised, honestly. You have a whole bye week. In some have talked about maybe it's not Eli Apple's fault there, maybe it's Von Bell's fault. Look, teams are going to go after Eli Apple. Vernon Hargreaves has been a better NFL player than Eli Apple. Both are first-round talents. To me, that's the play. As far as Trey Flowers, I don't know, man. I don't know what Trey Flowers is. The dude looks like a basketball player. And for those that don't know or don't care about basketball, NBA players are bigger than NFL players. Like most of the small NBA guys are like the big NFL guys. They just are, outside of linemen, of course. But like a small, short, thin NBA player still 6'3", 200. And so you look at some of these guys, and Trey Flowers is one of them. He looks like a basketball player to me. Really long legs, really long arms, and great shape, but just walks around so yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they'll play him, if they'll match him up on tight ends like they did against Baltimore early against Mark Andrews or what. But I would expect Vernon Hargreaves to get some run relatively quickly here post-bye. I think you claim him. He's made 5 starts this year. I think you claim him to play him quickly, not the other way. And, we'll see if that's the case. Do you think the Bengals should use Tyler Boyd more or use him as a decoy? No, they need to get the ball to Tyler Boyd more. I don't know what the hell is going on. They have to. And so it goes hand in hand, like I said. So things that I want to see in the second half offensively, 30 a game. You obviously want the offensive line to continue to improve. But Tyler Boyd's like your third down. He's the man. And so if teams are going to take him away, other guys have to win. But it's inexcusable for him to have 2 targets. I think he had 1 first half target against the Browns. You look up and you're down 24-10. It just can't happen. Just can't. I could argue he's the best receiver on the team. And I think he's probably second right now. Jamar's such a freak. But, man, Boyd needs more targets. And he's also a really good buy low if your trade deadline's coming up in fantasy. Andrew, maybe note that. My guy Andrew Fox Miller and I are in a fantasy league together. Maybe we should go after Tyler Boyd. I think his salary is too high, Andrew, in our league. So there we go. I just answered my own question. But you guys could do that though. Trade for him in your league. Andrew says all I do is answer my own questions. I'm answering their questions. What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Drew? Anyways, interesting observation. Preston says that Baltimore game took a lot out of us defensively. Hopefully after this bye, we are rejuvenated some to get us through the playoffs. Yeah, honestly, I've kind of given up on the defense. I'm worried about the offense now. Defense can win me back, but spoiler alert, one of my keys to victory against the Raiders is going to be keeping Joe Burrow upright and scoring 30 plus, because otherwise it's going to be a long ride home from Vegas. Like that's going to be it. And that Raiders pass rush is crazy good. Max Crosby is honestly, he might be the best pass rusher in the game right now. Just a straight edge rusher. Dude's a freak. And I know they just played Myles Garrett, by the way. So yeah, I think that the defense, you're right. Maybe they just need to recalibrate, regroup. I know Zac Taylor and Brian Callahan both have talked about this week the fact that the offense put the defense in bad spots against the Browns. That's fine, right? My counter would be, well, yeah, they punched you in the mouth, though, and the defense just couldn't respond. 0 forced turnovers, 0 resistance. It's just – that was it, right? Huge explosive plays downfield, making Baker look like, I don't know, someone that Baker did not look like earlier this year. Someone asked about Burrow's interceptions. I started this with that. So yeah, it'll be posted in a second. Now, I might play a Zac Taylor clip since we have more viewers here in just a second. How do we get more people involved in the offense? It can't just be Burrow, Mixon, and Chase. This is a good time for me to talk about my guy, Captain America. Chris Evans should get the ball. Samaje Perine might not even be in my rotation if I'm the Bengals. And it's not really against Perine. It's just everything that you get with Chris Evans when Chris Evans is in the game versus what you get with Samaje Perine when Perine's in the game. Like, Perine's going to miss on protections occasionally. So is Chris Evans probably, right? He's a rookie, even though I think he's capable of being a pass blocker. But he's a great route runner, is the best route runner. He's a better route runner than Joe Mixon. Natural hands. I think he's a better receiver of the football than Joe Mixon, and Joe's good at that. Get him more involved. 25 should be on the field a ton. I'm not saying it's like Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, but like in the passing game, Chris Evans is like Kareem Hunt. And Kareem Hunt's a freak passing game wise, like catching it, making guys miss and stuff. I think as a route runner and just his hands, Chris Evans, get him the ball. Also, I would put him in on kickoff returns. I would get this guy involved as much as possible for sure. All right, let's keep it going here. Do you see any flaws in Darius Hodge in practice? Why did they cut him? I know Darius Hodge was a fan favorite. I get it. But when you look back at his preseason, he had some good numbers for sure, especially that week 1 against Tampa Bay. But then it kind of tapered off a bit. Not great in run defense. They didn't really love him as an edge rusher. And to me, it was kind of like a one-trick pony type. And you're like, well, that one trick would work. No, I mean like only had a one move or two, like pass rush wise. So I think they would have kept him around on the practice squad if they could. But when Khalid Kareem came back, they were like, okay, well, he's ahead of Darius Hodge. So, and I think if they really thought Hodge could help their edge rush, they would have made him active more than he was. He was active at the first part of the season, hadn't been active since the Jacksonville game, excuse me. Beavers, you're getting your roof fixed in this rain? I hope you're not in Cincinnati, right? It's pouring. I hope not. That sounds awful. I certainly hope that is not the case. In the offseason, what do you think the biggest need will be? In the offseason, the biggest need is, to me, still going to be the offensive line. You know, Riley Reef is going to be a free agent. Quentin Spain's going to be a free agent. Trey Hopkins right now is a question mark. You have no idea what you're doing at right guard. And Jonah Williams is going to be extension eligible after 3 years. So a lot of moving parts there, offensive line-wise. I know people are talking about corner and edge. I just want to keep Joe Burrow upright because now he's got the weapons. He's got some stars, and some stars that are young. That's the crazy part. Tyler Boyd's 26. Jamar Chase is 21. He turned 21 in March. And then T. Higgins is 22. So they're young at the receiver spot, and they're really, really talented. I'm going to get to more of your questions in just a second, but I did get asked a question about Burrow, the interceptions. I did this whole rant that I'm going to spare you at the top, where not as many of you were on, but I asked Zac Taylor on the Locked On Bengals podcast, and you could check this out if you haven't already, on the Locked On, what was it, Wednesday show? Today's Thursday. No, it was Wednesday's show. And I asked Zac Taylor if they're going to pull the reins back a bit, because they put a lot on his plate. If they're going to pull the reins back on Burrow, not let him call plays up the line, all that stuff. And no, the answer is no, especially because they don't think that the turnovers coincide with the freedom that they're giving him here. Real quick is a clip from Zac Taylor.
Maybe if that was leading to the turnovers, yes, it's not leading to the turnovers, you know? And so, I think that would probably be fun for people to sit in there with me and Joe and go through every different interception and see kind of what the reasoning was. And maybe that would help people take a deep breath. But that's not a concern of ours going forward, that he's turnover prone or making bad decisions. And I feel confident that he's in a good spot and going to lead us to a lot more points going forward.
By the way, that would be cool. Wouldn't that be cool if you could watch the interceptions with Joe Burrow, or watch film with Joe Burrow and Zac Taylor? I think that'd be kind of a fun thing to do. Maybe I'll trick him into doing a film review on Cincinnati Bengals talk. That'd be fun. You never know. Who should play kick returns with Brendan Wilson out? I think I just mentioned this, but Chris Evans for sure to me. Darius Phillips certainly in the mix as well. How are you feeling about the past couple of games? What's your favorite color? Oh, I like this. My favorite color is Locked On Bengals orange. Look at that. Right here. Locked On Bengals orange. See, I'll turn for there we go. There we go. You can get yours. Rivertown Anchor. I tweeted it. I tweeted the link. I'll put it in. Andrew, put it in the comments if you can, my man. I tweeted a link from the Locked On Bengals account this morning. So there you go. If that's a favorite color, that Locked On Bengals orange. That's my favorite color. How does it seem like Does it seem like the wide receivers get much separation? Seems like a lot of contested catches. Yeah, no doubt. And I think that's the play calling schematic element that they'll try to adjust from the first half of the season when they self-scout into the second half of the year. These guys are going to have to make contested catches. But it can't all be that way. It just can't. Now, are there times where Chase has to climb the ladder and make a damn play? Absolutely. Right? The one, and I can't believe the NFL hyped this one up. Greg Newsome, it was the one where on Sunday, Joe Burrow rolls out to his right and throws it in deep downfield. Jamar Chase is streaking to the right side, so towards the side that Burrow's on. And Chase has to hold up just a little bit, and Greg Newsome comes and swats it down. But Chase has like 3 steps on him. And the NFL puts out lockdown with a clip of it, like Greg Newsome did something special. I think Chase could make that play. You just got to jump up, out-muscle him. The throw could have been ahead of him more, and if it was, it's probably 6. So that was the thing about the other day is there were so many plays like that where the receiver could have done a little bit more or Burrow could have done a little bit more. And when that happens, plus you have a couple turnovers and your defense is Swiss cheese, literally full of holes, then that's unfortunately what you get. All right, let's see here. More on the past 2 games. Do you think the Bengals struggles these last 2 games fall more on the players or the coaching staff, basically play calling or execution? It's both. So against the Jets, you have to tackle, and they didn't adjust, and they should have. But tackle. It's Ty. His name's Ty Johnson. Okay, he's not a Pro Bowler. He's not a future Hall of Famer. And even if he was, tackle him. And they didn't. And that's a big part of why they ended up losing that game. They had no business losing. Let's be honest. If they had just won that game, who cares if you get blown out by the Browns? You're 6-3. You're right there. You'd be second in the division, even after the loss to Cleveland. You'd be right behind the Ravens. You'd have the tiebreaker with the Ravens. You'd feel really damn good about yourselves. And now instead you're 5-4, and you really need to get a win in a couple weeks. This is a funny question. Dave asked, James, my question is, why are career total kicking yards not a stat? You hear Tom Brady 70,000 passing yards, but you don't hear Justin Tucker 30,000 yards. Well, because Justin Tucker would have infinity because he kicks 50-plus yarders all the time. Because it's I can't believe I'm seriously going to answer this, but because every kick is separate, right? So you judge it by that one kick versus, matters just as much if it's a 20-yarder or 50-yarder. And if you flip it, right, well, passing yards wise, it's accumulation throughout the entire game. Joe Burrow threw for 330, right? Justin Tucker made 3 of 3. That's it. So that's just how people judge it. But that would be a wild stat to hear. You know who would have the most yards? I bet it would be Adam Vinatieri or someone like that because of how long he's kicked, even though Justin Tucker, no doubt in my mind, the GOAT as far as kickers go. Even if he isn't the most clutch, he's really damn clutch. But I think Vinatieri gets that just because of the stages he's kicked on. A lot of people are on this. The guys definitely play behind Zach. I think play calling offensive coordinator would strongly benefit this team. So you're talking about Brian Callahan calling the plays. Let's see these next 8 games because I thought that and I felt that way probably through the first quarter of the season. I think Zach's been okay recently. Play calling wise, what would he have done different against Cleveland? Really? The Jets? What would he have done different? Because he threw it on the goal line. With Burrow, you should be able to throw it on the goal line in both situations. In the Jets, that first possession after the Jesse Bates interception, Chase drops a touchdown. Against the Browns, T. Higgins drops a touchdown. So I think Zach's been good in the past couple of weeks. We'll see how he does overall. But I don't have a really crazy take there. Is this for real? Michael Nudagate, and I might be so totally butchered your last name, but that's fine. My last name gets butchered all the time. Does chili belong on spaghetti? Hell yes, it belongs on spaghetti with cheese, with multiple packets or just a bottle. I prefer the bottle of hot sauce. Absolutely. I go for the 3-way. And know about you, maybe you add some onions or some beans, you do a 4 or 5-way, but 3-way chili definitely belongs on spaghetti. And if, who did I see today? There was some ass clown that made fun of, who was it? I forget. Someone in the media. I saw it on Twitter making fun of Cincinnati chili. Well, you know what, dude? Go kick rocks. All right. Because Cincinnati chili is great. And if you don't like it, that's fine. You don't have to come to Cincinnati. All I know is when I lived in Cleveland, I found Skylines to go to, and I enjoyed it there too. And hoarded up on the cans. So if you're an out of towner, get the cans. And if you don't like it, well, then your life isn't as good as ours here in Cincinnati. That's all I got to say about that. All right. All right. The countdown is on. We're going to get 5 more questions. I'm going to take 5 more questions, or we'll do a rapid fire. We're going to get out of here in the next 4 or 5 minutes because my guy Andrew Miller has to get his nails done, and can't let him not get his nails done. Why haven't you interviewed Dave Lapham or vice versa? I've interviewed Lap before on the radio. Haven't interviewed him on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. I think that'll change. I think I'll get him soon. He's also been on Locked On Bengals, but yeah, I can get him. That's no problem. No, they should not get rid of Jesse Bates. They should keep him and re-sign him this offseason. Hopefully he'll be able to sign for a lesser amount, or he'll ball out the final 8 games and earn himself some money. Because get this, if you're Jesse Bates and you struggle the first 9 games or don't play up to par, but the final 8 games you play big and the Bengals defense is good and Cincinnati makes the playoffs for the first time since 2015 and you're a big part of it, well, guess what, my man? You can back up the Brinks truck. So if he wants to make money, that opportunity is still right there in front of him. Let's see here. I already gave thoughts on Burrow's interceptions. Any thoughts on the Bengals picking up Nick Castellanos? Well, someone's going to pay him since the Reds are suddenly out of money. What a joke. What a joke I'm never going to buy it with baseball. I covered the Indians and they acted the same damn way, like they're poor. Get out of here. I don't want to hear the mid-market BS, nothing. I don't want to hear about COVID and seats and you couldn't sell tickets. Shut up. Don't sell the team if you don't want to pay players. They're stripping I only went to like 2 Reds games last year. One was for my birthday, and it was a lot of fun, having a lot of people. And I drug Andrew to it, by the way. Great American Ballpark. But, yeah, maybe that'll have to change. Maybe it was too many because, the way they're not spending money, they clearly don't care. All right, let's see. I'm answering this because he says, my guy. Mr. James, my guy. A couple questions. I predicted 7-2, 6-3 before the bye week. I missed by a game. What are the Bengals missing and what's holding them back from drawing up better play? Well, I had them at 4-5, so I was 1 off the other way. Look, they need to show up the offensive line a little bit. Hopefully, Akeem Adeniji can settle things down. Hopefully, they can continue to develop Trey Hopkins' knee, like get him rehabbed. He'll be 2 more weeks post-surgery. And it's just crazy to me that he tore his ACL in January and he was playing in games in September. Like, it's insane. Right. So I understand why he's struggling, but they really could use him playing better. Unfortunately, trade deadline's gone. I would have said make moves, but they obviously did not do that. Do the Bengals focus too much on the run game? No, I don't think so. I think they got to run it. They need more explosive runs. That's their problem in the run game. They need more explosive runs. They haven't had those yet. Like, Nick Chubb's 70-yard touchdown run. When's the last time you had a Bengals 70-yard touchdown run? Off the top of my head, can't remember one. And I know they've happened, obviously. But yeah, not sure. And then you commented on my new Will Smith book. Haven't started reading it yet, but big fan of Will Smith. So yeah, hopefully I put it up here, not to block Kobe Bryant, but I'm really bad at reading books. I have probably 200 books and I've read maybe 2% of them. So I'm going to read this. My goal was I got it Monday or Tuesday to read it during the bye week. I haven't read any of it, and it's Thursday. Where the hell does time go? All right, a couple more questions. Let's see. Someone says the pass to Chase was underthrown. Yeah, but I still want Chase to climb the ladder and make a play. It doesn't matter. Like, sometimes, yeah, the throw isn't going to be perfect, or sometimes the receivers are going to be perfect. You want to see both guys make plays. Do any of the players listen to the channel? Absolutely. All 53 players subscribe to Cincinnati Bengals Talk. Aaron wants to know which Bengals player needs to step up their game going into these next 8 games. Jesse Bates. There you go. There's one. Obviously, offensive line, edge rusher. We could go on and on and on there. A lot of people ask me this and they get confused like with fandom and covering. So I grew up a Bengals fan. One of my first seasons, so I was born in 91, I'm 30, was when Peyton Manning was a young pup and Jeff Blake and the Bengals went and played the Indianapolis Colts in Indy for a preseason game. It was that week 3 preseason game. That was one of the first ones I remember watching like beginning to end. I think it was like 98, 99, something like that. I was pissed when the Bengals lost, by the way, the preseason. But no, I grew up a Bengals fan for sure. Covering them now, I'm not a Bengals fan, but that doesn't mean, I don't remember, those my favorite player of all time, right, was Chad Johnson. And from 02 to 07, really tough to find, anyone. I watched every snap of his because, they were fun for really the first time in my life. And then 09 was a fun year as well. So there you go. That let's keep going. Man, we're getting some weird ass comments. Do we really have a wow. OBJ to the Rams. This is my live reaction. Good for Odell. Good for Odell. ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting it. That'll be it. That'll be it for questions. Odell Beckham Jr. to the Rams. Smart play by him, but you know what? He's going to have to deal with Brady, baby. You see Brady over there over my right shoulder? Yeah, you're going to have to deal with him in the NFC Championship game. That being said, if I was Odell Beckham Jr., I probably would have signed with the Rams too. It's a damn dream team over there in Los Angeles. So as far as the Bengals are concerned, yeah, that Rams offense might be better this time around. What a cold take that was a half hour ago. And I said, I think the Bengals offense should be better than the Rams offense. Maybe not now. Either way, I appreciate you so much for tuning in. We're going to have a lot more videos, including, a certain tight end that's pretty funny. That's become a fan favorite. Well, he's going to be interviewed on this channel tomorrow. Promise, tomorrow. You know his name, CJ Uzama. Make sure you get your Locked On Bengals shirts. Link on Twitter at James Rapien. Hit that subscribe button. And as always, thank you so much for watching to Cincinnati Bengals Talk right